So, last Tuesday, I want to tell you about it. I got on a video call. My boss, two clients, a project I'd been working on for 3 weeks. And halfway through my first sentence, I realized I had been muted. For 40 seconds, just talking, into nothing.
Did they know?
Sophie, they were watching my mouth move, in complete silence. Like watching a broken TV. I unmuted, said sorry, I was on mute. And they said, yes, we know, we could tell. And then, on the walk home, I found a parking ticket on my car. For a spot I've used every single week for 2 years. And then I got home and realized I had a dentist appointment 3 hours ago.
Same day, all three.
Same day. And I stood in my kitchen with that ticket in my hand thinking one thought.
Everything is broken.
How did you know that's what I thought?
Because it's always one signal when situations pile up. Not the muted call, not the parking ticket, not the missed dentist. Just everything. One word. Broken.
Welcome to Rise English. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Sophie. If you're new here, hi, come in. If you're coming back, we're really glad you're here. Today, we're not going to tell you to stay positive. We're not going to hand you a gratitude list. We're not going to say everything happens for a reason. Because if you're in one of those everything is wrong stretches right now, that kind of thing doesn't land. What lands is honesty. What lands is a real story and a real tool. That's what today is.
What you need is someone to admit that it actually happens. And then be honest about what they did when it did. That's the whole episode.
Can I say something before we go in?
Yeah. And here's the part that gets me every time. When 4 or 5 problems land at the same time, I stop being able to count them separately. They merge into one feeling. It stops being the laptop is broken and the ticket and the dentist. It becomes something is fundamentally wrong with my life, which is a very different problem to walk around with.
I've been there. Last year. New city, uncertain job, money tighter than I'd planned. I remember trying to fix all of it in the same week. I sent job applications, made a budget spreadsheet, tried to be social in a city where I knew almost nobody, all while doing work that felt uncertain. I was busy constantly and getting nowhere. And at some point, I stopped counting the separate problems and just thought, quietly, not dramatically, this is just my life now. Not a hard month, life.
And the moment you think that, it becomes too big to handle.
Because now you're not handling 5 separate situations. You're handling a permanent state, and that's too large for anyone. That thought is the lie we're pushing on today.
Quick note on English level. Today is B1, intermediate. If that's you, this was made for you. If you're a 2 and some parts feel like a stretch, stay with us. You'll understand more than you expect. And if you listen again, you'll catch even more the second time through.
At the end, we have words of the day. 5 words from the actual conversation we had today, not textbook vocabulary. The words you need for the specific moment when life piles up. Stay for those. They're worth it.
One ask before we start. In the comments, 1 sentence. Where are you listening from right now? And if you want to share, name 1 situation that's been adding weight lately. You don't need to explain it. Just name it.
We genuinely read those. And there's something about putting a name to the pressure, even in a comment, that starts the process we're going to talk about today. So write in. And if this episode is useful, share it with 1 person.
Okay, back to Tuesday. I'm standing in the kitchen. The call was bad, I have a parking ticket, I missed the dentist, and my brain is doing the spiral. One bad thought pulls the next. I'm thinking about the call, and suddenly, I'm questioning whether I'm in the right job. From a parking ticket to existential crisis. 12 minutes.
That's spiraling.
That's exactly what it was. One problem pulling another, then another. Going down, not forward. And I almost did what I always do in that state. I almost grabbed my phone to scroll, check the news, look at something, anything, which would have fed the spiral and made it worse. I knew that. I almost did it anyway.
So what stopped you?
I don't fully know. But instead of the phone, I went for a piece of printer paper. An actual physical piece of printer paper. And I wrote one question at the top.
What question?
What is actually wrong right now? Not what might go wrong next year. Not what went wrong before. What is actually specifically wrong today?
And you wrote it by hand.
By hand. Because I couldn't type fast enough without it feeding the spiral. Writing by hand slows you down. And when you slow down, you have to be specific. You can't just feel, you have to name.
Wait, you grabbed actual printer paper.
I am 32 years old, and I used printer paper in a crisis.
Okay. You had the paper.
I had the paper, and I wrote down 5 problems. Specific, no vague categories. 1. Laptop failed during a client meeting, needs repair before Thursday. 2. Parking ticket, $90, payment due Friday. 3. Missed dentist, need to call and reschedule by Monday. 4. A work project I'd been avoiding, not urgent but loud in my head. 5. I'd been eating badly all week, fast food every night, physically running rough.
5 problems. Not everything. 5.
5. And when I saw them on paper, they were still real, still hard. But they weren't vague anymore.
Vague.
When a problem is vague, your brain fills the empty space with fear. The laptop isn't just broken, it means I'm unreliable. Which means the client loses confidence. Which means the project goes sideways. Which means my boss hears about it. Which means I start wondering if I'm even good at this work. You know how far that goes. But when you write it specifically, laptop needs repair before Thursday, it becomes a problem with a shape. I can deal with a problem that has a shape. I cannot fight a gray cloud. The list turns the cloud into a shape.
But I want to push back on something.
Okay.
The list doesn't fix any of it. Laptop still broken. Ticket still $90. Dentist still missed.
You're right.
So what does writing it down actually do?
Your brain during a pileup week is a dark room. You're walking around in there bumping into furniture. You can't see the floor, can't see the walls. You just know it feels impossible to move without hitting something. But when you write the list, you turn on a light. You see 5 items on the floor, still a mess. But now you know what you're actually in. Now you can move. The list doesn't solve, it reveals. And you can only solve what you can see.
The list reveals. I like that.
And something else happened when I saw those 5 problems on paper. Something that wasn't visible when they were all circling in my head.
What?
They weren't equal. The laptop had a Thursday deadline, real, hard, time-sensitive. The ticket had Friday, same. The dentist? I could call Monday. Nothing breaks if I wait 2 days. The work project? Loud in my head, but nothing was actually due. The food situation? Not today's problem. Only 2 of the 5 actually needed me that day. 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
And that changes everything about how you move. What's interesting is that some of those 5 situations needed my action. And some just wanted my attention.
Those are very different.
Completely different. Wanting my attention doesn't mean deserving my action. But I'd been giving them all the same weight in my head.
So what happens when you actually see the difference?
That's the part that started to shift for me.
Okay, I want to say something that might sound wrong at first.
Okay.
When everything goes wrong at once, the answer is not to work harder at handling all of it.
Which is what every instinct tells you to do. And I want to say I've failed at this badly. During that period last year, the one where everything piled up at once, I made a list of 12 things I needed to handle. 12. I wrote them all down and started working through them in no particular order. And I did work. I was genuinely working all day. But 3 weeks later, I had made small partial progress on almost everything and finished almost nothing. Because I kept switching. Switching burned the energy that finishing requires. And I felt guilty the whole time because the list kept staring at me.
Your brain says, be responsible, be mature, handle it, handle all of it today. And that feels right, like the serious response, like what a capable person does. But it's the exact move that makes you freeze. Because you physically cannot handle 5 urgent situations at the same time. And when you try, you end up handling none of them while feeling guilty and exhausted about all of them simultaneously. Busy, unproductive, and guilty at once. That's the worst possible outcome.
I've lived in that combination more times than I want to say. The one that comes to mind is a project deadline I missed 2 years ago. 3 things went wrong that week at the same time. I spent the whole week responding to each one as it got loud, switching constantly, never finishing anything. At the end of the week, all 3 were still open and the deadline had passed. Not because I didn't work, because I spread the work too thin to actually complete anything. I learned triage the hard way.
And here's what's backwards. Not handling everything at once is not avoiding. It's not being irresponsible. It's actually the only way anything gets handled at all.
Kitchen. 4 pots on the stove, all starting to boil at the same time.
And you're trying to stir all 4.
You're burning one, overflowing another, and you're everywhere and nowhere.
But if you stop and look at all 4 pots and ask just one question,
Which one is about to overflow right now?
that one gets your full attention. When it's settled, you go to the next. The other 3 stay on the stove, not abandoned, not forgotten. Just not overflowing, because you made a deliberate decision about them.
One pot, one decision at a time.
In hospital emergency rooms, they call this triage. When many patients arrive at once, doctors don't treat them in order of arrival. They walk through and ask one question: who cannot wait? That person gets seen first. Not because the others don't matter, because the one who cannot wait matters most right now. And I think triage is the most honest word I know for what you have to do when life piles up. Not productivity, not a system, just one question. Which one cannot wait?
Triage.
Triage.
But I want to push on one detail.
Go.
What about the backseat problems? Because I still thought about the dentist while I was fixing the laptop. The work project kept knocking, even though I'd decided it wasn't today. They don't go quiet just because you told them to wait.
And I think that's because we never actually tell them to wait. We start ignoring them while feeling guilty about ignoring them, which is not the same as a decision. It's just avoidance with shame attached.
So what's the actual thing to say?
I see you. I know you're here. I will get to you. Not today. 4 sentences. Not, maybe I'll get to you eventually. Not, I'll figure it out. I see you. Not today. That's a decision, not a dodge. And the difference matters because one keeps the guilt. The other releases it. When you've decided, you're in charge of the problem. When you're avoiding, the problem is in charge of you.
I see you. Not today.
And then you go back to the pot that's overflowing. Here's the part I keep thinking about, though.
Say it.
Even after you write the list, even after you triage, there's still a physical feeling underneath all of it.
Like the ground isn't steady.
Like everything around you is moving and you don't have one fixed point to stand on.
Naming and sorting doesn't fix that feeling.
So what actually does? Can I tell you something I noticed during that stretch last year?
Yes.
New city, uncertain job, money tighter than expected. Nothing felt stable. And I found myself doing this one small habit every evening. I almost don't want to say it because it sounds like it shouldn't count.
Say it.
I made tea. I boiled the water, watched it, poured it slow, held the cup with both hands. 5 minutes, same every night. And the job might not exist in 4 months. The city was still unfamiliar. The money situation had no clear end. But the tea was the same as yesterday. The warmth of the cup the same. That one thing didn't change, and I think I was holding on to it without realizing it.
Ships have anchors.
Walk me through it.
The anchor doesn't stop the storm. Waves still come. Wind is still going. But the boat doesn't drift away from where it needs to be. It holds position while the storm happens. Your tea was the anchor. Not fixing the job uncertainty. Not solving the money situation. Just holding you in place while the storm moved through.
And the anchor can be anything that stays consistent. Morning walk before checking messages. 1 page of writing before bed. A call to the same person on Sunday evenings. It doesn't have to be significant. It has to stay.
The fact that it stays is the whole point. I'll tell you mine. And it's a little embarrassing.
I want to hear it.
I talk to myself in Spanish. In my car. Every morning. Because I'm learning Spanish and I never have a real window to practice. So I just drive and describe whatever I'm thinking about in bad Spanish. To nobody. Just me and the steering wheel.
For how long?
12 minutes. Every morning. Just me and my questionable Spanish.
That is literally an anchor.
And this past spring, when a lot of my routines fell apart at the same time, I kept that 12 minutes. Other habits went. But I got in the car and talked to myself in bad Spanish. And it mattered more than I expected. Not because Spanish is urgent. Because it was mine, and it was still there when other things weren't. It told me some part of my normal life was continuing.
That's what I want to say carefully here, because it matters. When you're in a hard stretch, it can start to feel permanent. Like you've quietly crossed some line, and this is just the new version of your life. Not a crisis, just, this is it now. And that quiet thought, the permanent one, is more painful than any single problem on the list. Because you're not just carrying 5 problems anymore. You're carrying the belief that this is who you are now.
Not, I have a bad week, but I am someone who has a bad life.
And that belief is convincing. It feels like clarity when it's actually just exhaustion talking.
So what do you say back to it?
You remind yourself, this is a chapter, not the whole book. Your life is long. This stretch is one part of it. Chapters end. They don't define the complete story. And you can't see that from inside the chapter. You're too close. All you see is the page you're on. But you can decide to believe the chapter ends before you can see how. And sometimes that decision, made before you have proof, is the specific thing that helps you take the next step.
One problem named, one pot chosen, one anchor held, one step at a time.
While you carry the chapter.
While you carry it. Words of the day. 5 words from what we talked about today. You heard them in context. Now we slow down and make them yours. First, overwhelmed. When multiple situations hit at once and your brain can't process them separately. Not just stressed. The point where everything merges into one signal. That was the kitchen moment for me. Muted call, ticket, dentist. It stopped being 3 separate problems and became everything is broken. That's overwhelmed. And the key thing, it's about volume, not weakness. Use it. I'm overwhelmed right now and I need 5 minutes. That sentence tells the people around you exactly what you need from them.
Second, spiral, as a verb. Spiraling. When Ryan almost grabbed his phone to scroll after the bad call, that would have been spiraling. One bad thought pulling the next, pulling the next. Going down instead of forward. And the spiral is sneaky because it feels like thinking. It feels like you're processing the problem. But you're not processing, you're looping. Processing moves, spiraling circles. The critical thing about spiraling, noticing it is already the first exit. The moment you can name it, you're outside it enough to stop it. Use it. I can feel myself starting to spiral. Saying that out loud, even just to yourself, creates distance, and distance breaks the loop.
Third, vague. V-A-G-U-E. Before the list, everything felt wrong. That feeling was vague, blurry, no shape. And vague fears grow larger because your brain fills the empty space with worst cases. Writing the 5 specific problems took the feeling from vague to visible. The cloud became a list, and you can only work with what you can see. Use it. The worry is vague. Let me try to name it specifically. That shift, from vague to named, is the list doing its work.
Fourth, triage. Not doing everything. Asking, which one cannot wait right now? Laptop was Thursday. Ticket was Friday. Dentist got told, I see you, not today. That's triage. Looking at the full list and deciding, deliberately, what moves first. Use it. I need to triage this before I do anything. That word signals to yourself that you're making a choice, not hiding from one.
Fifth, anchor. Sophie's tea, my Spanish in the car. The one consistent habit that holds steady when everything around it is shifting. Not a solution, not a cure. The point that keeps you from drifting while the storm happens. And it can be almost anything. Size doesn't matter, consistency does. Use it. I need my anchor right now. And then go do it. Whatever yours is, 5 minutes.
Pick one of those 5. Make one sentence about your actual week. Not a practice sentence. Something from the last 7 days of your real life. Put it in the comments. We'll read all of them.
You know what keeps landing for me from today?
What?
That we treat a hard week like a character test. Like, the measure of who you are is whether you can hold up under all of it at the same time. And if you can't carry everything at once, you start to think there's something wrong with you specifically. Like other people are managing this, and you're the one who isn't.
But the people who actually get through hard stretches aren't carrying more than you. They're just deciding what to carry today. And they have one steady point to hold on to while they decide.
That's the whole thing.
So the false belief, the one that makes hard stretches feel impossible, is not that you have too many problems. It's that you're supposed to handle all of them at once. And that because you can't, something is wrong with you specifically. But that belief isn't strength. That belief is the thing that freezes you. The people who actually move through hard stretches are not carrying more than you. They're not tougher or better organized. They maimed what was in the room. They picked the one problem that couldn't wait and worked on that one. They let the others take a back seat without guilt. They kept one anchor going when everything else went uncertain. And they asked, which one needs me today? That's the whole practice. That's all it is.
So the one shift if you take anything from today, you stop asking, why can't I handle all of this at once? You start asking, which one needs me today? That's a smaller question, a more honest one. And it's the question that actually moves you forward.
And tomorrow, you ask it again. Which one needs me today? And the next day. And the chapter moves.
One problem named, one pot on the stove, one anchor held, one step.
Take care of your English.
And take care of yourself. This is Rise English, real growth, real you. See you next time.